And that's what most people fear, that there is this unavoidable change of life we have to accept. Because we cannot go on like this. We cannot fly over the weekend to Barcelona. These times cannot continue. And we all know it, but we don't have a vision of where to go, the good society where we want to be, that would make it worth to accept that my routines have to change, that my way of life has to change. So this is this transition phase that Antonio Gramsci, the Italian philosopher, called interregnum. So it's this time between two stable societies, one that is eroding and gone, but the new one has not yet arrived. And in this in-betweenness, all kind of irrationalities appear because people want orientation and they cannot use the old habits and beliefs and values anymore, but they don't have anything else. In a way, it was easier for Eastern Europeans when the wall came down in 1989. They could just replace Marx by the market. So they took the new narrative and dropped the old one. We can't, because there is no other narrative than the market available right now. We have to write it. And at the core of this new narrative has to be this interconnectedness, this relationship between us and nature, and us and other human beings. And I'm quite hopeful that this is happening because we see an explosion of discussion on interconnectedness, on relationships, on intersubjective approaches to understand the mind, for instance. So this all is happening in a lot of sciences right now in parallel. So in that sense, I'm quite hopeful. It's, in a way, it's a new enlightenment. The old enlightenment was Descartes, Kant, focused on the individual mind, trying to understand the world by examining the processes inside each individual and understand us as separate units. The rational choice theory, the Homo economicus. It's the world is just there as a kind of utility fulfilling world. It helps me in my individuality to be who I want to be. And we have forgotten that I can only exist because you exist. I can only exist because we are connected. My brain and your brain only function together. We cannot have airplanes built by one person. It doesn't work. So this awareness that maybe we took a wrong road in analyzing our species by just focusing on the mind, this wrong road, we are slowly leaving right now. We construct this reality together, and we cannot just focus on optimizing individual lives. That doesn't work. It leads us where we are. We are alone, we feel abandoned, we feel disconnected from each other, from nature, the lack of resonance. So that's the result of individualism, and we have to escape that. My favorite word is this very old and forgotten English word, respair. Respair is the opposite of despair. And respair, when it was used still a few hundred years ago, meant having hope again after a long phase of despair.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the story has to be about. It has to be about respair.